Let me ask you something. Have you ever wondered why the narcissist couldn't stop watching you, controlling you, obsessing over you, yet still tried to tear you down every chance they got? It's because deep down, they know something you may have forgotten. They see what you've been blind to. You're not ordinary, you're not weak, you're not broken. You are a supernatural being, wrapped in human skin, powered by something they can't control, and filled with light they can't dim. And that terrifies them. Let's be real. Narcissists don't hate you because you're nothing. They hate you because you're everything they secretly wish they could be. You radiate what they have to fake. You love deeply, genuinely, completely. You feel in a way they can't even comprehend, and your presence, your intuition, your energy, it speaks before you say a word. See, the narcissist works overtime to convince you that you're average, weak, unworthy, because they already saw the opposite. They saw your strength before you did. They tried to steal your power because they knew it didn't belong to them. They tried to wear your confidence like it was theirs. They mirrored your light, and when it didn't fill them, they turned to destruction. That's why it always became your fault, your flaw, your mistake. But listen to me, that confusion, that pain, that spiritual battle, it was never proof of your failure. It was proof of your divinity. Supernatural beings go through supernatural trials. You didn't go through hell because you were weak. You went through it because you were born to walk through fire and come out glowing. And that narcissist, they never had a chance against your destiny. They didn't break you, they revealed you. Let me tell you what happens next. When a supernatural being finally wakes up, it's game over, because now you know who you are. You don't chase approval anymore. You recognize your soul doesn't need validation from the wounded. You don't beg for love, you are love. You don't explain your worth, you embody it, and when you do that, the narcissist's power evaporates, not because they changed, but because you did. You stopped feeding their illusion. You started feeding your soul. So I need you to hear me with every part of your being. You are not here to be drained, silenced, or erased. You are here to rise. You are here to awaken. You are here to disrupt darkness with light. The narcissist knows what you are, and now so do you. Step into it, own it, walk like the supernatural force you've always been, and never again dim your shine to comfort someone who fears your glow. This is your time. Let the world feel you. Before you even knew how powerful you were, the narcissist could feel it. They have a sixth sense for identifying people who radiate something beyond the ordinary. People who carry emotional depth, spiritual sensitivity, empathy, and a magnetic energy that pulls others in. While the world may not have noticed your essence, the narcissist did. They observed the way you loved, the way you gave without expecting, the way you lit up a room with nothing but your presence. And to someone who feels empty inside, that energy is both fascinating and infuriating. The narcissist doesn't pick just anyone. They choose those who shine brightest, not to elevate them, but to control and suppress that light. Why? Because your presence makes them feel inadequate. You mirror back to them everything they are not. Your authenticity confronts their illusion. Your compassion exposes their cruelty. Your confidence, even if not fully developed, reminds them of the strength they fake. So instead of honoring you, they attempt to possess you. This isn't about coincidence, it's about energetic recognition. They spotted your inner glow long before you saw it in yourself. Maybe at the time you were still doubting your worth. Maybe you were still healing from past wounds. But even in your most uncertain state, you carried a supernatural essence they couldn't ignore. And because they couldn't create that kind of power for themselves, they sought to feed off yours. They learned what made you tick. They mirrored your goodness, mimicked your values, and pretended to be your soulmate or your ideal companion, not out of love, but out of strategy. The narcissist didn't want to love you. They wanted to access your energy, your influence, your spirit. They needed to tie themselves to your power source to feel alive. It wasn't your weakness that made you a target. It was your strength in disguise. This is why many people who are intuitive, gifted, or spiritually attuned often attract narcissists. It's not a flaw, it's a signal. It means you carry something rare, something radiant, And the narcissist's presence in your life wasn't because you were broken. It was because they saw you as whole and didn't know how to handle it. When you walk into a room with authenticity, love, and emotional presence, people notice. But the narcissist feels it on a different level. Your light doesn't just shine. It penetrates. It highlights everything fake, everything unhealed, everything dishonest in others. And for a narcissist who lives in a fragile illusion of superiority and control that is unbearable, you don't even have to speak. Your very existence challenges their carefully constructed mask. The way you empathize, the way you connect, the way you lead without dominating. It's everything they can't fabricate, no matter how hard they try. So what do? They seek to control it. They twist admiration into obsession, attraction into possession, and connection into domination. At first, they praise your light because they're drawn to it. They may call you inspiring, different, special. They'll reflect your strengths back to you, not to celebrate them, but to understand how to manipulate them. Their praise is never genuine. It's part of a deeper strategy, because deep down they know they can't become you. So the next best thing is to own you. This is why the shift is always so jarring. One day they seem enchanted by you. The next, they're devaluing you, mocking you, planting seeds of doubt. They need to bring you down to a level where they feel in control. They start gaslighting your reality, dismissing your feelings, competing with your growth. It's not random. It's a calculated response to your light. Because if you continue to shine, their false image starts to crack. If you continue to grow, you'll outgrow their control. And if you realize your own worth, you'll walk away. And that terrifies them. Narcissists don't fear people. They fear exposure, and your light exposes them without effort. They try to dim it through criticism, isolation, and manipulation, hoping you'll shrink yourself enough for them to feel superior again. But their attempts to control you are not about love or connection. They're about fear, fear of what you represent, fear of who you might become if you're fully free, because the truth is, they don't hate you. They envy you. They resent your peace, your depth, your soul. They try to rewrite your reality because your reality threatens theirs. From the very beginning, the narcissist knew they couldn't hide from your intuition. Even if you didn't fully trust it at the time, your energy could pick up on lies, feel emotional shifts, and sense when something wasn't right. Your spiritual radar was always scanning, always tuned in, and that made you a threat. Narcissists thrive in confusion and chaos. They manipulate through illusions and half-truths. But when someone like you comes along, someone spiritually awake or on the edge of awakening, they panic beneath the surface. Your energy disrupted their script. You asked questions they weren't prepared to answer. You noticed inconsistencies they didn't expect you to catch. You saw through their charm even when you didn't have proof. And that awareness, your supernatural intuition, shook them. So what did they do? They began manipulating not just to control you, but to weaken your connection to yourself. They gaslighted you to make you doubt your instincts. They twisted stories to make you second-guess your reality. They turned your sensitivity into a flaw, calling you too emotional, too intense, or crazy, because your clarity was dangerous to their agenda. You didn't fit into the role they wanted you to play. You weren't easily fooled. You had flashes of clarity, gut feelings, and an inner knowing that refused to be silenced. So they resorted to spiritual sabotage, slow, subtle attacks on your inner compass. They'd play victim to confuse your empathy. They'd provoke emotional chaos just to drain your intuition. They'd mimic your spiritual language, pretending to be deep or enlightened, just to blur your ability to discern truth from illusion. But none of it was real. It was all a reaction to the energetic authority you carried, the supernatural edge they could never fake. And even in the thick of the manipulation, you had moments of clarity. You knew something was off. Your soul kept tugging at you, whispering that this wasn't love, it was control. That wasn't just instinct, That was your supernatural energy resisting psychological imprisonment. And the more you woke up to it, the more their mask began to slip. They didn't manipulate you because you were weak. They manipulated you because your intuitive power made them feel exposed. The pain you went through in the presence of a narcissist wasn't a reflection of your brokenness. It was evidence of your incredible capacity to feel, to love, to endure, and to rise. People who are spiritually powerful often carry an emotional depth that narcissists are magnetized to. You feel things others overlook. You sense things others can't explain. And because of that, you're capable of withstanding emotional storms most would collapse under. The suffering you experienced wasn't a punishment. It was part of your awakening. The narcissist didn't choose you randomly. They saw your spirit's strength and decided to test it. They pushed your boundaries, invaded your peace, and toyed with your heart not because you were easy to hurt, but because you were strong enough to survive the hurt. Many would have crumbled, but you kept showing up with love. You kept trying to understand, to heal, to hold it all together. That's not weakness. That's supernatural endurance. You didn't suffer because you were naive. You suffered because you were committed to healing something that couldn't be healed on your own. You thought your love could reach them, fix them, maybe even save them. But every time you reached out with compassion, they responded with cruelty. Every time you offered connection, they retaliated with control. And yet, you stayed longer than most because your soul believed in redemption. That is not something to be ashamed of. That is something sacred. What you endured refined you. It peeled back layers of illusion and forced you to confront the deepest truths about yourself. It revealed your wounds, yes, but it also revealed your resilience. While they tried to break your spirit, all they really did was activate it. They made you dig deeper. They made you seek truth. They made you stronger, more self-aware, more spiritually alert. That kind of transformation doesn't happen without pain. You didn't walk away with bitterness. You walked away with wisdom. Your scars became symbols of survival. Your silence became a boundary. Your tears became prayers, and through it all, you were never alone. Your higher self was watching, guiding, holding you through every moment you thought you wouldn't survive. The moment you begin to see the narcissist for who they really are, everything changes. But more importantly, the moment you begin to see yourself clearly, your power, your worth, your divine essence, the illusion they created begins to crumble. Their manipulation, once so effective, starts to fall flat. Their games, once confusing, become predictable. Why? Because your awakened self doesn't feed their illusion. It doesn't chase validation. It doesn't shrink to keep others comfortable. Awakening shifts the dynamic from survival to sovereignty. In the early stages of narcissistic entanglement, you were likely disconnected from your power. Maybe you questioned your worth, doubted your intuition, or felt the need to earn love by sacrificing parts of yourself. That vulnerability is what gave the narcissist control. They sensed your uncertainty and filled it with their dominance. But awakening flips the script. It's the moment you remember who you are before the trauma, before the manipulation, before the gaslighting made you question your sanity. When you awaken, you stop asking why they hurt you and start asking why you tolerated it. You stop replaying their words and start listening to your own voice. You begin healing the parts of you that believed mistreatment was love. And with each step into awareness, their hold on you weakens. They no longer have the power to distort your reality because you've reconnected with your truth. They can't shame you into silence because you've found your voice. They can't lure you back with fake apologies or false promises because you've seen behind the mask. This internal shift is what narcissists fear the most. They rely on you staying unaware, staying dependent, staying small. But when you wake up to your own light, their darkness loses its grip. You start making decisions from strength instead of fear. You start setting boundaries not to punish, but to protect. and you realized that the love you were seeking from them was always meant to be found within you. This is not just self-growth, it's spiritual warriorship. Awakening means reclaiming everything they tried to steal: your peace, your confidence, your sense of self. And once that awakening begins, there's no going back to the version of you who tolerated their control. From the very beginning, your spirit was never meant to fit in small spaces. You weren't born to dim your light, silence your voice, or play it safe just to make others feel comfortable. And yet, the narcissist conditioned you to believe that your strength was a threat, that your intuition was wrong, that your voice was too loud, too emotional, too much. They wanted you to shrink, not because you were unworthy, but because your power made them feel insignificant. Your very existence confronted everything they were pretending to be, but your soul wasn't designed to bow to fear, manipulation, or control. You are wired for expansion. You're built to elevate. The divine purpose in you demands expression. And when you deny it, when you suppress your truth to avoid conflict or keep the peace, you not only betray yourself, you rob the world of your supernatural gifts. The narcissist knew your potential. That's why they worked so hard to disconnect you from it. They saw your greatness and felt the need to minimize it so they could feel superior. But now, something inside you has shifted. You've tasted awakening. You've started remembering who you are. And with that remembrance comes a sacred responsibility, not to go back into hiding, not to fall into silence, but to fully rise. Your rise is not ego, it's alignment. It's returning to the divine version of yourself that existed long before trauma, betrayal, or manipulation. That version of you doesn't seek permission. It doesn't apologize for existing. It moves with purpose, speaks with clarity, and loves with boundaries. You are not here to live in fear of being misunderstood. You are here to be bold in your truth, fierce in your self-respect, and unwavering in your mission. The world needs your voice, your energy, your presence. The narcissist tried to convince you that you were too much. But the truth is, you were never too much. They were simply never enough to handle your frequency, and your divine purpose was never meant to be validated by those who fear it. Your rising is not just about you. It's about everyone you'll inspire, protect, and awaken simply by standing in your truth.